This one is a new concept that I've never explored on this podcast or in Love You. It is so spot on that I can't believe I've never thought of it before. By the time you're done, you'll see why all your negative experiences attract the wrong guys and repel the right ones, and why you have to lead with positive energy in dating even when you don't feel like it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend. I'm on Instagram at Re11MarkCats. You can subscribe here through Apple and Spotify and YouTube. But before that, little housekeeping. The next installment of the Extraordinary Love Series is coming up in a few weeks. I'm doing a Zoom call for high caliber women who have trouble finding high value men. Our topic is how to set boundaries without pushing him away, followed by a live Q&A. Go to extraordinaryloveseries.com. Over 700 women have registered so far. You don't want to miss this. So here's the idea. How you advertise yourself determines who is attracted to you. So I've always said this thing, and I believe it, right? You don't attract the wrong men, you accept the wrong men. And that is true. You are not a magnet per se. At any given point in time, if you are attracted to narcissists and you date narcissists, then you'll end up with a narcissist. If you are attracted to emotionally unavailable men or cheaters or whatever it is, and you choose them and you double down on them, you will end up with them, and that's within the locus of your control. But that doesn't give enough credit to the attraction piece, and how you come across, and this goes for everybody, myself included, how you come across determines a lot of who sticks around, right? And sometimes the wrong kind of people will stick around. And then you'll be like, well, that's my dating pool. It's because the other guys have said goodbye. So let's flip it around. It's always easiest to start from looking at it through the other lens, which is men. So think about guys who talk a lot about money. Um, Guys who talk about their own money, it's not an attractive trait, even if they have money. So a guy who's going on and on and on about his money, for a normal woman who is not into that kind of behavior, that braggadocio, that insecurity that means someone has to talk about their fancy things, any woman who listens to a guy like that is going to be like, check, please. And that guy is going to be going on about gold diggers and how women only want him for his money. So a normal woman runs in the opposite direction, doesn't even give that rich, douchey guy a second date. Who sticks around? You got it, a gold digger. She's not going to be repelled by the fact that she's digging for gold. So the fact that he is on to the fact that some women are gold diggers, that's not going to repel the person who's actually just looking for a guy for his money. So this is something that is really fascinating. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Normal women are repelled by this kind of behavior, right? Who sticks around for this kind of behavior? Probably someone who is the kind of person that the person is trying to avoid. So this is the guy's worst fears, getting into a marriage with a woman who doesn't see him as a human being, but as a human wallet, right? And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more the guy focuses on money, the more he repels anybody who's not money focused. He doesn't see he's the common denominator. He's turning off smart, strong, successful women in their own right, women who are independent. In his version of events, he's not to blame. It's women. It's the gold diggers. It's not him. Flip it around. So you're a woman who was stuck in a bad marriage. You made more money than he did. You weren't appreciated by him. You were insulted. You were neglected. You felt lonely, disconnected, trapped in your bad marriage. So it's a horrible situation. I have great sympathy. I don't want to blow past that. I really have great sympathy. It's most of my clients. It could describe them. But what's the story we start telling ourselves? I do not want to get married again. And indeed, studies show, right? Women initiate 2/3 of divorces because a lot of guys are not very good husbands, and they're less likely to want to get married again. Why? because they chose the wrong guy 25 years ago, right? Like one guy ruined the entire institution. That's interesting. So the truth is, if you had a good husband, you'd be open to it. But because you associate marriage with pain and feeling unattractive and feeling small and gaslit and whatever horrible things you've experienced, you've then ruled out the institution of marriage entirely. Your story becomes when you get back out there, I don't want to get married again. You never want to take care of a man again. You never want to be in a relationship where you're the giver and he's the taker, right? Right. Well, guess what? You're just like the guy who doesn't want to be with a gold digger. So, any good commitment oriented guy who has some self esteem and doesn't identify as a bad guy or a bad husband, right, who is commitment oriented, is going to hear your story and is going to run in the opposite direction. Right? And that is hard because that's your experience. And I'm not saying that I'm saying it's a very reasonable conclusion, but it's a very reasonable conclusion for a guy who's had gold diggers not to want gold diggers. So imagine, if you will, being so angry at your ex that you've given up on the institution of marriage, right? And then meeting a marriage-oriented guy. As a marriage-oriented guy, I'm imagining me single. I want someone who wants my commitment, who wants to integrate lives, who wants to take care of me and build an integrated life together as I take care of her equally. You want a guy who loves women, right? You don't want to be with a guy who doesn't love women. You know who doesn't love women? Really bitter divorced men. Men who never want to get married again. Players, emotionally unavailable guys. So that's who sticks around when you're like, hey, I never want to get married again. You know who loves that? Those guys. The guys who don't want to get married again are really thrilled to meet a woman who doesn't want to get married again because then you can never ask anything of you. Right? Now we're getting somewhere because we're talking about the language of anxious avoidant people. Right? This is the language of the men that you are attracting. The language of cynicism, the language of mistrust. If I'm a healthy, commitment-oriented man who wants to get married, why would I stick around for someone who declared on date one that she doesn't have the same life goals as I do? You're correct. I would not. I'm not here to convince you to want to get married. I'm not here to convince you to trust me as a man. Can you see how your cynicism works against you? Can you see how your negativity attracts negativity? Can you see how healthy people are repelled by fear and only the unhealthy will stick around? I don't want to be married attracts guys who don't want to be married. I recently saw this in practice. It was with a client. We'll call her Maddie for the sake of today's exercise. And she was approaching dating from a very fear-based place, which is understandable and normal. But she's so worried about letting a guy in and getting hurt that she turned dating into this like slog. It's like a marathon, like intimidating and scary. Right? So if dating and relationships and men bring up that much fear and you carry around that fear with you wherever you go, right? You tend to keep people out of fear, which is once again somewhat rational. But where other couples who are in a healthier place decide to give a relationship a shot in 4 to 6 weeks, like I talk about in Love You, Maddie spends 3 to 5 months vetting men. Right? 3 to 5 months before she'll actually let a guy in. So I'll ask you, what type of man sticks around for 4 months without sex or without a commitment? I'll tell you who. 2 types of guys. Guys who have no confidence will think, okay, well, I guess that's just what you have to do to have a relationship in 2025. So low confidence guys will stick around for 4 months without getting laid, right? And guys who don't actually want a commitment. That's who'll stick around because they don't, then you can just kind of hang around and it's passing the time and maybe they could do better. Maybe they're seeing someone else. It's perfect for someone who doesn't want a real relationship. So the thing that you're intending to do to protect yourself pushes away the guys who want a healthy pace and only encourages the guys who you don't actually want. Good guys will run for the hills if they're not in a relationship or having sex in a couple of months. So as always, we're talking about this through the lens of good intentions. I know you have good intentions, but as always, dating is not about right versus wrong. It's about effective versus ineffective. So anytime your dating personality is defined by what you don't want, you could almost be sure you're going to continue to get more of it, which is why coming from a place of confidence and abundance and positivity is such a magic formula, whether you're a man or a woman and you're trying to attract members of the opposite sex who want a healthy, commitment-oriented relationship. If I said something today that triggered you because you know that you're looking at dating through the lens of negativity and commitment through the lens of negativity and men through the lens of negativity, stick around for one more minute. Just want to remind everybody, this is the end of the podcast. I just want to remind everybody, I love doing this podcast. I couldn't do it without your support. And by support, I mean following, listening, liking, sharing. I don't get paid to do this. I do this because every week I coach women, and every week I take notes on my little post-its, and every week I have some little revelation that I want to share with you that comes up through the process of group coaching and one-on-one coaching. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe on Apple or Spotify or YouTube and leave us a comment or a review. The next installment of the Extraordinary Love series, as I told you at the beginning of the podcast, is in a few weeks. How to set boundaries without pushing men away. Go to extraordinaryloveseries.com to register for free. And if you want to get over this negativity and attract a quality, commitment-oriented man and be part of a community of smart, successful women who've done it, go to evanmarckatz.com/now. Book a time to talk with me. I can't wait to learn more about you and show you the path to love. Soon you're going to see dating doesn't have to be this hard, and good relationships can be easy. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.